Good evening, everyone. All right. Students, partners, Insead faculty and staff, welcome to the opening ceremony for the Insead MBA class of July 2013. One of our traditions at Insead is at the opening ceremony to invite back an alumnus to reflect back on his or her experience in the MBA program and how that has possibly affected their subsequent life and career. It's my honor today to introduce Jean-Marc Liduena, Insead class of 1999. Jean-Marc, as many Insead students often start out in consulting and then move to entrepreneurship and eventually consulting, then industry, and then entrepreneurship. In many ways, Jean-Marc did things his own way. He actually started out in industry, first job at Unilever, where within a couple of years he was leading the post-merger integration of Best Foods, a $24 billion acquisition. He goes on many years later after the successful career at Unilever to found his own advisory and executive search firm based in Paris and Dubai, before finally, in the last few years, being a principal at first Bain and then Booz. And what's, I think, particularly important for us is throughout, he has been a strong supporter of the school. Out of his time as an entrepreneur, he serves as an entrepreneur in residence at Insead, coming back to advise young entrepreneurs. And recently, he stepped forward to lead our French Alumni Association, one of our biggest and I'll just say most complex groups, and he's doing that with his usual finesse and energy. Last thing I'll say is we've seen a number of these speeches, and one thing, people are always maybe a little bit nervous coming back and addressing an audience like this, and they always then reflect and they say, well, you know, the good news is, I can't tell you how many times I've heard this, I thought, and I can't remember who spoke at my opening ceremony, so I comfort myself that's no big deal. Jean-Marc, however, remembers very clearly that who his speaker was. It was Sir Andrew Large, who was at the time, I guess, CEO of Barclays, I believe, before he moved to be deputy governor of the Bank of England. So Jean-Marc is actually feeling a fair amount of pressure, so here we go. Let's get him out of his misery. Let him up here. Jean-Marc.
If you don't mind, can you hear me well? Okay, if you don't mind, I'll speak from here, not behind the mics, if that's okay to you. Well, my dear friends, I think you are students. I see some staff from the administration over there and here, maybe some professors. I see some partners probably, and babies even at the back. So welcome all to this day one. I think it's a day which I will try to address with, first of all, pleasure, great pleasure. It's always great to be here in MBA, as it's called. I'm sure you've already discovered MBA today because you've seen Dorio Library, IT services, maybe career services. You had a long day already sitting on those bench. Well, it's the first, it's not the last. You will see that you will stay around for a while in this MBA, which is where great events take place. And today is a great event for you. It's your day one. I hope you'll vividly remember it, as I do. And therefore, it's also not only with pleasure and joy, but also with great pride that I address this new class and that I welcome you on campus today. So welcome. It's fantastic to be here. I need to start by saying bravo. I'm French, so I say bravo, like Italians. And for being here today, because you know the competition to get here is fierce. And the applications competition has increased a lot. Peter said I was here in 1999. I think the quality and quantity of applications has increased. So well done for being here. You succeeded. It's a first demonstration of your talent. And the reason for being here is that you're all great. So bravo for sitting in MBA. That's not given to everyone. And you should be very proud today. And you should almost feel part of the Insead community on this day, which is strong of about 42,000 people in the world. If I add MBAs, like you, executive MBAs, and all the executive programs. So 42,000 strong community is a formidable team. And your class is a subset of that team, which is even better because in this class you will make lifelong friends from people like you who are all great. So bravo for being here. And I could almost end my speech now, you know, because I've said all. Bravo, and you should be very proud. Now just go and do your MBA. Well, actually, I've been asked, and you heard Peter, to say a few words about myself, about my experience at Insead. I'll do that in 4 steps. I will introduce myself briefly and develop a bit what Peter said and what Insead brought me. The gift I received here was fantastic. How do you, can you exploit it afterwards? What will be the immediate next steps after Insead? After I've given you a few tips for this 10-month period. And then in the longer run, how can you become true, I hope, inspirational leaders? Which I sincerely hope is the deal for you and your quest, which is starting here or which has even started before. So I apologize in advance to Peter, especially, because I'll be a bit provocative today. I'll probably be politically incorrect, but I'll be forgiven afterwards, as I was before. So a few words about myself. I was here, as you said, Peter, 14 years ago. That seems like a century, you know, not a decade, but a century, because Singapore campus, for example, did not even exist then. It was under construction, it was soon to be open, but we had not the possibility to join Singapore. So I urge that you guys sitting here in beautiful Fontainebleau also go to Singapore and maybe also visit the Abu Dhabi campus, if you can, clearly. Things were different then. It was still very inspiring, though. And I had, of course, fantastic professors, like the one you have here. Peter Zemsky was a young professor of strategy. Great. Thank you. That was my token, you know, to start with the speech. But most importantly, I think it was the true start of my career. And you said that I had done it a bit different. I started in consulting, and then after the MBA of Insead, then I went to the industry, to Unilever, which is usually the opposite way that you might experience here. But basically, it's the true start of my career, and I will tell you why. It's also the true start of my large family. I'll say a bit more about that. But my first daughter, and this is the most remarkable event at Insead, was born in Fontainebleau, in Clinique de la Forêt, which is basically across the road. In the break during the period 3 and period 4, which was rather unfortunate, because I had the secret hope that the birth would happen during the exams of P3, in which I had strategy, for example. So I went to see all the professors, you know, and I said, well, look, if the birth happens during your exam, what do I do? Can I retake it? Can I cancel it? Can I waive it totally, just as a forecast? And then Peter said, yeah, of course, we can make up something afterwards. But another professor, which you will meet, probably Ilian Mihov, professor of macroeconomy, told me, look, it's very simple. If the birth happens during the exams, you get the grade 2 by default. You don't need to retake the exam. If the birth happens during my exam, so macro, then you get a 4 by default. So that's fantastic. This is the type of classes, courses, professors that you will get here. They're all very open to families. Welcome again the little babies that I see here. He's left?
Yeah,
okay.
He was noisy.
He was too noisy. Oh, sorry about that.
No, he was noisy.
He was, okay. Right. Well, no, but more seriously, when I said it was a very formidable year, it's because we met people here, and I include my wife in that journey of Insead, because many of you probably have brought partners here. And for them as well, it's a formidable journey. So I will say we met fantastic people. And you just need to look around. I was in the bar area a bit earlier, and I looked at the contacts being made, etc. That's all already you can see and sense and feel that the people sitting next to you, and you get to know each other during 10 months, are fantastic, as you are probably. And you will make lifelong friends. You will have parties like nowhere else before. I remember the Viking party myself. during the whatever Nordic week when we brought snow on campus. It was during summer, so that was just unbelievable. You know, you can't see that everywhere. It's just party and party. Now, more seriously, you will also discuss with professors, alumni, speakers, guest speakers who are not from Insead, entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, business leaders, political leaders. And that's providing you with a unique learning opportunity and fantastic intellectual challenge, which you must embark on. You need to take it on. And it's tough sometimes, but that will bring you great memories. I also got job offers, which I would have never got otherwise, if not coming to Insead. By no means I would have joined Unilever as a brand manager without, and a senior brand manager actually, because I was directing a category, without the Insead experience. No way. And as well, I'll come back to that later, I convinced myself here during the year at Insead that our role as business leaders from Insead and the role of business in general is clearly to make the world a better place, believe me or not. And I will come back in conclusion on that point because for me it will be the crucial point of this intervention today. So a lot of gifts, as I said, but what have I done with those gifts? And I will brush up my career briefly. I joined Unilever as a marketing director, basically, or senior brand manager at the very, very beginning as a training period, which lasted 3 months, after which I replaced my boss. So it was quite exciting. And directing the whole category of spreads and cooking, which is basically yellow fats, you know, oil, cheese, butter, margarine, the traditional food history of Unilever. And then after a year, I won a competition in internet. Unilever was embarking in 1999 on internet, you know, that was a long, long time ago. And basically we're launching internal prizes for the best startup ideas, to be intrapreneurs. And all what I learned here, not just to write business plans, but be creative and get good ideas about the net, the communication, the vending process on the web, got me to win the idea and to launch an intrapreneur venture, which was intelligent vending machines, for which I became managing director for about a month before giving back the idea to Unilever and embarking, as you said, Peter, on the largest hostile takeover of the history of Unilever, Best Foods, which was the brand Knorr or Hellmann's or tons of brands, $24 billion hostile takeover, all cash. That was quite a challenge. I led the integration of Best Foods for Europe. Just only Europe was about 500 million euros of synergies to find between the two groups. So quite a challenge, which I moved on afterwards after 18 months, basically to be the chief of staff and the board secretary for the president for the region Europe. Great, exciting job. This is the most fantastic learning experience after Insead. So do this kind of job is quite useful. And then I was promoted managing director in Dubai for the food service business in the Middle East, which lasted about 4 weeks. And I was called back to Rotterdam to become VP Finance Europe and head of restructuring. So you see, no way without Insead I would have got this career at Unilever, no way. Impossible. They created fast tracks, especially for you, MBAs, if you graduate, of course. So just apply to this role, you know, fast tracks in the industry, that's fantastic job, opportunities, and learning. Then a series of opportunities arose, Bain & Company, Booz & Company, in consulting. These are well-known firms, strategy houses, powerhouses. And don't stay there for more than 18 months either. You know, you have to change a lot, because then you repeat and repeat and repeat project after project. So you need, I'll develop that a bit later, to embark on new challenges. At some stage, I created my own firm in executive search, but also leadership advisory called Everest, because I like mountaineering. But in parallel to that, if you just do your job, the life is a bit void, you know. So I have to fill in my life with other things. You said president of Insead Alumni Association. That's a lot, in France only. That's a lot of alumni. I hope that some of you will join the association, pay a membership fees in 10 months' time, and be entertained by all what we do. The events, the inspirational journey for being an alumnus or an alumna is fabulous. And we have 6,000 of them in France, so it's a large community to manage. I'm an entrepreneur in residence, so I coach students, and I hope to coach some of you in the future if you are entrepreneurs to be. I mentor dozens of students outside of Insead, underprivileged students who have not the luck or the talent to be here, but we need also to succeed in life. I do that pro bono, of course. I'm an investor into startups. I invested in Web TV. I invested in Cherokee, which is a software for sharing on internet. I invested in kitesurfing. So a broad array of projects. I'm an advisor in France to selected political leaders and religious leaders. And that is extremely inspiring, because if you want to make the world a better place, I do believe that business has a role to play, but also religious institutions and political governments and institutions. So try to be all over the place. I'm becoming a blogger on September 1st, so watch the space. I'll send you the address. And most importantly, and that's really the key part, I'm the happy father of 4 kids now. First one starting at Insead, and happily married to Cecile, whom attended as a partner the program here, and who just loved it as well. So the question on how to do all of this, I will come back a bit later. But Insead gave me the opportunity to do all of that and combine everything at once. And that's very important because this is what you will learn here, beyond the classes, beyond the classmates, beyond the contacts you will make with employers. It's the ability to seize the world in a different way. And maybe you think that you have that talent already in-house, inside yourself, but I can tell you that Insead will help you develop that talent if you have it already. And if you don't think you have it, which is wrong, then it will help understand that you can decouple or multiply exponentially your capability to do many, many, many things for your work, for your family, and for the society at large. I urge you that you really reflect on that. Now, what about Insead? And how can you become all this? Basically, it's a fantastic year. That is said by 42,000 people who were here in MBA before you. So no doubt that it is true, statistically. And it's a learning powerhouse. You need to learn at the speed of light during Insead. In whatever, marketing, finance, strategy, which are the core classes. I remember them vividly. But also the more difficult and subtle one, entrepreneurship, negotiations, ethics. These are matters or topics where you need a bit of sensitivity and you need to get in a bit with more, not only intellect, You need to get in with your guts. And that's very important because it will help you shape your future character and your future leadership. So I insist, take those classes, take those electives where you suck in like a sponge all the content and the richness of the class debates. And almost, I can tell you, you will learn a lot. Also, you will have a near-death experience, which is OB. In class, and then in groups. I'll talk about the groups. And then maybe in group exams, if they still exist. Group exam timed with a group of 5 on OB, organization and behaviors. That's near-death experience, I can tell you. Now, the learning unit for that, because Insead is helping you, actually, to become the sponge of this learning powerhouse. The ultimate learning unit is your group. Have you been assigned to groups already? Yes. Have you met your group mates? Okay, I will remember with tear in my eyes my group from period 1. Tears in my eyes of anger. Okay? I had a Chinese banker who later joined McKinsey, very tiny girl. I had a gigantic US Marine. Believe me or not, he was specialist in intel and submarines. That's the type of guy you don't want in your group. You don't want to be friends with these guys, I had a funny Swedish IT expert who also hold a Canadian passport like me, because we all have 2 passports here. Do you? No, okay, sadly. And then, of course, I had a German engineer from Lufthansa to bring rigor to the group. Sometimes boring, but okay, make no mistake. Make no mistake, the group is designed to fail. So the trick, believe me again, make no mistake, the trick is to fail fast, as fast as possible, learn fast from your mistakes, and fix fast. Okay, learn, and then fix, and then you will not fail again. That's the trick with the group. So don't tell me I haven't given you any tips, useful tips. You will remember that after 3 months working with the same group. Ah yeah, he said we had to fail, and therefore we can learn, and therefore we can fix, and then you get good grade in the OB group exam. Which otherwise you get a 1, okay? Now, The big question next after the group, which I get from MBA students or even better MBA applicants, because I interview tons of MBA applicants, is what electives should I take? My God, that's the wrong question. Okay? It's not what electives should I take, it's which talents do I have that I want to strengthen. You're not here to compensate for your weaknesses. You're weak in some things, you will remain weak in some things. There is no magic recipe. You need to find out the electives that will help bring your talent upwards. And you need to look at the market, what is hot, what is the buzz, what do the market want, and you want to bring yourself to the intersection of the market needs, what you like in life, what's your passions, and what's your dream job. It's a difficult intersection to find, but this is where the electives can help you. And get breadth and depth of knowledge with the electives. Don't try to get more insights. This is not what you should seek with electives. Who is from fast-moving consumer goods here? Raise your hands. Unilever, Procter, L'Oreal, Henkel, God knows what. Okay, you have a few. Where were you from?
From Lebanon.
Procter & Gamble. Unilever. What else? Shiseido. Philip Morris. P&G. Okay, you see, all of them, they have the same insights today. They have the same data. They know the same things about the markets, the consumers. It's coming from Nielsen, it's coming from McKinsey, it's coming from all the data houses that you can find. This is not what you should try to get from the electives. You need to get foresight. When Unilever beats P&G or the other way around, this is because they will go out of the insights and go to foresight. This is what matters. Get that in your electives. Don't try to get insights. Everyone has the same insights. Everyone has the same data. Now, frankly, if I could sit down here with you guys, that would be cool, by the way, to come back. I would take all about social media, digital, consumerization, multi-channel sales, etc., just because this is my passion, this is my job, this is where I like to work in marketing, in the brand world, and I would take that for a reason. So get the electives for the reason that you need to find the intersection of market needs, your passion, and your dream job. Okay? Another tip, well, actually, don't worry. Because your timing to join Insead is just impeccable. You know why? No? Because it's a crisis out there. Are you reading newspapers? You know, it's the worst. It's the worst crisis we have ever outside the room. You're in a safe haven here. You're under radar screen. You're cool, you know? No risk. It's fantastic. It's a free year. Just wait for the other guys. Actually, you made the right move because for 3 reasons. When you get out of here, you're much better than today. Number 1. Okay? Believe me on that. You will be much better than you are today for all the reasons I mentioned before. Secondly, all the poor performers out there, they will be eliminated by then. All the guys with no vision, no insights, no foresight, no strategy, no nothing, no dreams, no creativity, no innovation, they will be wiped out in the next 10 months of the market. They will be jobless, they will be dead, if not already. Now, the other guys, the clever bastards, you know, the guys would think they do strategy. They do strategic plan of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 3 years. Well, they will be dead as well. Because the world is moving so fast that now you need 100-day plans. So all those guys who fancy doing budgeting and planning for the next 10 years, they will be dead as well. So that's the second reason you have less competition. And third, it will be a new world in 12 months' time. Don't ask me what and how, I don't know, like you. But it will be different from today, clearly. So 3 reasons, you're better, less competition, different world. All cards, it's a highway for success after Insead for you. It's a fantastic opportunity, this crisis. So be confident, learn at the speed of light, as I said, push you beyond the limit and go at the edge, and then, without this competition of the poor guys who were dead, then you succeed in the market in 10 months' time. Great challenge ahead of you guys. Now the question is what happens immediately after Insead? When you quit the cocoon. Because that's important, you know, it's not, you cannot do it in 2 years. That's not, I think it's not allowed. 10 months, out, Then I'll give a speech to the new class. Now, when you graduate, hopefully, you'll be at the top. You'll be at the edge. You will have maximum knowledge. You cannot have more from here. When you leave Insead, you will be hot on everything. Academics, culture, diversity, all the classes you get, management, leadership. You will be just the super warrior of leadership and management. You'll be fully equipped. You will be miles ahead of the old guys like me. I'm turning 41 in 3 days' time. Because we are in the routine of the day job. We aren't learning anything anymore, majority of us. And therefore, when you get there, you're much better than everyone. When you exit here, you will be the top guys of social media, I hope, or marketing, or brand management. And you know much more than your future boss, which is fabulous. Very cool. It's also a bit difficult, because your boss will be nervous. My first boss at Unilever, she was a marketing director for the category spreads and cooking, whom I replaced 3 months later. She was very nervous when I arrived. So basically, she called me the day before, the Sunday night, and she said, oh, on Monday morning, you will go for a first meeting with me to McCann Erickson, and we'll do a Millward Brown debrief. I had no clue what it meant. So you know, your future boss is going to be a bit nervous about yourself coming in. So he's going to try to humiliate you a bit. So be careful with that. You have to be great, but humble. You have to be top-notch, but still eager to learn. I learned about McCann Erickson and about Millward Brown. I'll tell you after at the cocktail if you want where they are. You have to be totally energetic, like hyper-energetic after graduating from Insead in your new job, but you also need to show that you're totally committed to your boss. These are the few tips which I give you to avoid a big mismatch on day one after Insead in 11 months' time. That said, you need to become the best advertiser of yourself. You need to become the great self-promoter. It's a good product. You are a cool product. It should not be too difficult to sell it. You need to tell a good story to the market. You need to become storytellers, like in advertising. And you must bring to bear 3 things only. It's recorded, so you don't need to take notes. But basically, it's creativity, adaptability, and capability. It's easy to remember, you know, it's a rhyme. Creativity. The new world is moving very fast, okay? It's the now world. It's moving so fast, you have screens everywhere, the information flows is extremely rapid. We talk about social media and digitization and consumerization all the time. Everything is at the speed of light, like learning here. And therefore, only the creative people and the creative ideas and the best ideas will survive. All the rest, faded, very rapidly, killed, instantly. That's the drawback of a rapid era in which you live in, more than me, actually. So you need to become creative whilst at Insead. If not, if you don't want to, you can just leave the room today. Because nobody will want you. I just learned today that the L'Oréal, fellowship or scholarship will be attributed to one of you, 1 per annum, 1 per class, based on 3 criteria. The number 1 is creativity. So you need creativity. So develop that whilst here. Everyone can be creative. Second, adaptability. You must become the kings of change. You must learn to love change. You need to take control of change, because the world is changing every day, you know. To give you an example, on 14th September 2008, way back, every MBA with finance empathy would love to work with Lehman Brothers. They would die for a job at Lehman. On the 15th of September 2008, nobody wanted a job at Lehman Brothers, which did not exist anymore. In one day, the equilibrium of the ecosystem of the world is changing these days. So you need to control change, you need to adapt to change, you need to take command and take charge of your destiny and of the change of the world. which is really difficult. But remember that Insead will help you doing that, because you will master all the indicators on your radar screen. Now, those who have resisted change since 2001, it's like the poor performers out there, they are dead already. They're out of job. So just welcome change. Be adaptable. Third is your capability. I told you already, you will learn a lot. You need to learn at the speed of light. You need to be sponges of learning. You will create a depth and breadth of capability which is unique. And with that, you will bring your capability of execution, action, and talent to your prospective employers or to the company you will create, because I hope that some of you will be entrepreneurs. And those capabilities that you learn here and that you get here, they will be enormously useful out there to make a difference. And Booz, if I do a bit of advertising, has created a new strategy approach, capability-driven strategy, saying in a nutshell that strategy, a pure strategy, is meaningless and hopeless. You need a strategy which you can execute based on clear capabilities. Okay? Creativity, become creatives. Adaptability, become the kings of change. And capability, you become the most capable people in the world. That's the way you're going to offer yourself to the market. Now, what do you need to demand from the employer after Insead? That's a bit of a spin. Huh? It's, usually you don't demand anything from prospective employers, especially in a crisis time. Now, that is wrong. You need to demand the 3 L's, not money, as I heard. Money is next. It's the M. Now, the 3 L's before M, what are they? Any idea? Love.
Learning.
Learning. Leadership. Excellent. So you can stay. Those 3 you can stay. Now, leadership, you must demand leadership. If you get in a job where you have no responsibility, no decision making, no creativity, no space for innovation, no space for challenging the employment or the employer and the norm, don't take the job. You need to demand learning. If your job is about making PowerPoint slides or filling in spreadsheets, I'm thinking consultants and bankers, don't take the job. You must demand leadership. Demand then the other thing which someone said, where is he, where is she? Learning. You have to demand learning. You have learned so much here after 10 months. If you exit Insead and you stop learning immediately, you're going to shoot yourself, or even more, even worse, you're going to shoot your neighbors and your colleagues. So that's wrong. Don't do that. Okay? So don't commit suicide, but just demand learning. Don't get in the routine, quarterly reporting, quarter after quarter after quarter. You've experienced that already before Insead. You should never go again in a world like this. Okay? I asked someone, so someone told me once, basically it was an advertiser. He said to me, the first day in your job after Insead, when you haven't learned anything, go to your boss and complain. The second day, quit. Just quit. Demand love. Leadership, learning, love. That's a funny word. But I think a relationship is like a marriage. It can only work if you have respect, reward, positive feedback, appreciation, mutually. Actually, you must love each other. And if you start to work for a sort of macho employer who doesn't love you, just don't go. Leave. Because you will not have passion, you will not have joy. And if you don't have joy, your relationship is not sustainable. And it will be miserable failure. So these were my tips for Insead. Then the tips just immediately after Insead. Basically, demand, learning, leadership, and love. But I also urge you to think about life outside the box. This is where I become immensely provocative and totally politically incorrect. Now, that said, thinking outside the box for after Insead is very important, even during Insead. You have 2 things to remember. Pursue your dream, not a convention. The second thing is basically forget work-life balance. Usually that stresses a few people when I say that. But I'll explain to you. Pursue your dreams. Why? Because great leaders, and I know that there are great leaders in this room, that will be visible in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 25 years. Like you said in your essays, you know, I'm a potential leader. Fantastic. I read that everywhere. So don't lie, all of you, 100% have written that somewhere. Now, all leaders are pursuing dreams. You know, walking on the moon, discovering that there is a continent on the other side of the ocean, pursuing the dream that music can be sold online, not on CD, pursuing the dream that you can fly to the US for less than $50. Pursuing those dreams means true leaders. And true leaders pursue dreams. It's vice versa. So when I read where they go to work, where you go to work after Insead, 40% in consulting, 25% in banking, the two professions with no dreams. I'm one, so I can say it. Why? Pursue your dreams in your work, in your family, in the society. Now, the question is not whose dream is yours. The question is what is my dream? What do I pursue aggressively? Because then I'm going to have an impact, because the dream will create emotion, and the emotion will create passion, and then passion will create action, and your dream will come true. That said, the famous concept of work-life balance is just dead. Because you can't. You know, for me, work-life balance, it would mean that I have to spend basically 33% of my time with my family, 33% of my time on work, 33% of my time on society work, and that's basically it. Basically, balancing means excluding, making choices, eliminating stuff. I don't want to eliminate anything. I want to do all well. 100% family, 100% work, 100% society, or 120% in each case. And you learned my bio, and you see what I do now, presently. Booz & Company, which is quite demanding, plus Insead Alumni Association, plus the 4 kids, plus entrepreneur in residence, plus. Business angels, investor, mentor, coach. Every day I look myself in the mirror, I don't say how. I say wow for that. I'm a bit humble here, but that's a lot. But every one of you is capable to do it. If you forget the stupid thing of work-life balance, which forces you to compromise. You have to integrate the concept. The new concept is work-life integration. You integrate everything. You don't eliminate anything. You do all. If you want a little secret about how, I'll give you a little secret. Think about this story. You have a bank. All of you have a bank account, I suppose, otherwise you would not be here. Now it's empty. Okay, so that's good. Or negative. Imagine you have a bank on your bank account. It's like a fantastic dream here. Every morning, 9 a.m., they credit your account, this bank, with $86,400. Every morning at 9 a.m. Close your eyes. Think about what you could do with that. There are 2 rows or 2 strings attached. Number 1, you must, to get it on the following day again, have spent everything at 9 a.m. So $86,400. You have to spend 100%. What would you do every day, day in, day out? The second rule, the bank can decide to stop whenever they want the game, unilaterally. And you don't know when it happens. So now figure out, why do I speak with this bank and work-life integration, and how to do everything instead of separating or eliminating. Because God every morning is giving you 86,400 seconds. At 9 a.m. every morning. What do we do with that? It's an enormous amount of seconds and hours and minutes. How do you invest your seconds every day? How do you do that? And it can stop. You don't decide when it stops, by the way. So what do you do with that? That's a little recipe for managing time, and getting in control of your work-life integration, not balance. Everyone will respect you for that. and you will be rewarded for that. Now, my final part is about the following period of your life. Not the Insead time or the immediate time after Insead. It's about what next. How do I become a fantastic leader after Insead? That's a difficult question. So I'll share with you briefly, I promise, some experience I gathered from interviewing thousands of CEOs and business leaders, political leaders, religious leaders, sports leaders. You learn a lot from sports leaders. I'm sure that Insead will equip you with all the weapons. I said, you will be a super warrior of management and leadership. But the last mile to complete is yours. It's not included in the Insead fees, believe me or not. It's how to become a true leader. Because you have that inside yourself, and you need to demand it from yourself, not from your employer, not from the Insead faculty, not from the dean, not from the staff, from yourself. And basically, I'll give you the 5 E's of leadership, if you remember them, soon or later. Energy, emotion, engagement, ethics, and edge. I don't have time to comment all the 5 E's of leadership. I designed those when I had this Everest company in leadership advisory and executive search, because I had to find a new way to qualify leaders, assess them, and present them to the clients. And the 5 E's basically are quite obvious. Energy, as a leader, you need to be energetic, clearly. But you need to enthuse the people. You need to energize the people you work with, the community you're in, whatever it is. Corporate, NGO, politics, wherever. Emotion. As a leader, you need to share emotions. You need to understand the emotions of others. You need to share your own emotions. That's called empathy. If you don't have empathy, you're ice cold. You'll get nowhere. You will not bring people with you. Engagement, the 3rd E, is very important as a centerpiece of leadership. Engagement is the ability to have the dreams I mentioned before, pursue your dreams, but also engage the people behind. If I take the example of Paul Polman, the CEO of Unilever now, he has about, 250,000 people, 300,000. He's embarked everyone, he has engaged everyone behind his dream, which is about sustainability. And his dream is quite simple. Double the size of the business and have, at the same time, the environmental footprint. That's just impossible. It's a dream. But he's engaged everyone behind that, and you look at the performance of Unilever, it has never been so good. Leadership. Ethics. No question about that. You will get the classes on ethics. There is a reason. As a future leader, as a leader, you cannot have the single problem in your curriculum vis-à-vis ethics. You're not allowed. I don't want any of you to have an ethical problem after Insead. Or during Insead, of course, but especially after Insead. You cannot afford it. Otherwise, you're just dead. In these days of transparency, information rapid flows, social media, your reputation is of enormous importance. And ethics is the way to prevent any problem of reputation. Edge, as a leader, you need to be on the edge all the time. You need to be ahead of everyone else. And at Insead, you can be ahead of everyone else. In your employer, in the company you're going to create, in the non-profit organizations that you're going to lead, in the government you will join, wherever, you need to be on the edge, ahead. You know, just a little bit is enough, but always ahead. That's difficult to do, but you will learn fast with your group from P1 onwards to be on the edge. I can tell you. Insead is going to bring that to you. Now, inspire, grow, and connect. If you want to be a true leader with those 5 E's, you need to inspire others, grow others, and connect others. Stop willing to direct people. You need to connect people. Stop willing to just develop people. You need to grow them. And the only way to do that, you know how to engage people, how to develop your dreams, how to implement your dreams, is to inspire the people, which we're trying to do every day at Insead with you. Be inspirational for you. And you, in return, you need to be inspirational to the others by giving back. And that is going to be my last words, if you like. We need to reflect on the purpose of being at Insead. Not only you students, but also the dean, the faculty, the administration, the alumni. What's the purpose of being at Insead? And what's the purpose of becoming a business leader? Well, the purpose I told you in introduction, I think, it's my deepest conviction, which I got here, is to make the world a better place. Or contribute to make the world a better place, because we cannot do it on our own. And with all what I said that you will get here at Insead, with all the tips I gave you, with all the demands I expressed, learning, love, etc., pursuing your dreams, having a life full of joy, emotion, passion, action, then I do believe that collectively, you and your neighbor on the bench can change the world and make it a better place. And you will see more and more corporations, more and more institutions trying to achieve it. And giving back is the recipe for that. Giving back to the society what you gain here. Giving back also to Insead what you gain here. Coming back today from my holiday, I give back. I try to give back a bit. But also giving back to create loyalty, to create value, to create enthusiasm from the others, which becomes in turn inspirational, which is a key of leadership. And giving back, I think for me, should be your top priority when you leave Insead. During Insead, you can practice. After Insead, it's your number one priority, clearly. And for you, it may be a bit strange to talk on day one about in 10 months' time. I don't know how many days is that. But don't forget it. Giving back to the world, to make it a better place. I think to give you hope, I'll send you an invitation. For October 4th in Paris, we'll send you an email so you remember. We're launching with the association I chair the first ever event which is called Insead Essentials. It's a big bet, it's a dream. Because it will welcome 1,000 people in Paris from Insead and not from Insead. We have assembled a panel of speakers which has the CEO of Unilever Foods Worldwide, GE France, Egon Zehnder, Saatchi & Saatchi. We have religious leaders, political leaders coming in, and of course the Dean of Insead and myself to talk about how to make the world a better place. And this is going to be both inspiring and connecting. We aim to connect the 1,000 people in the audience to create a lasting impact. First, by what they will learn, what they will get, and I hope you can be here with us, because it's going to be truly about leadership and changing society. And then replicating Insead Essentials, because I said it's the first of a series, every year. And become a center place of learning, but at creativity and hopefully high impact. So that's an invitation for you guys, for I hope a few of you will join. And on that note, I will conclude with a few words of courage for 10 months ahead. It will require a bit of courage to complete the journey. Congratulations, as I said earlier, for sitting here in Amphi A and having beaten the application process. Thanks for your presence today and attention. Passion for making the world a better place. And success for your own Insead journey, your family journey here if you have a family, and your leadership journey, which is starting today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Jean-Marc. I'm just going to leave you with one last thought and reflection. As I said, for the last few months, I've had the privilege of being the acting dean of Insead, which means I've been out and doing more time talking to the press and other externals, and it's kind of surprised me. I get caught up in these conversations around, well, what about the contribution of MBAs to society? And there's this view out there that you, right, future MBAs, are on two things. One, sort of overly self-confident and sort of intensely self-motivated, and that somehow contributed to bad things in the world. That's the rough argument, right? So I have to say, though, it's interesting for me, because I think coming from Insead, it doesn't fully resonate, that criticism. Some parts do. So, Jean-Marc, you are tremendously confident, and
Sorry.
no, it's good. It sets a high bar for people, and that is part of what's required for leadership. But I've always felt, as part of Insead, that there is, certainly relative to other business schools I've been associated with, more humanity, more passion out there. At the same time, I think we should, as dean, I should actually push this point home. So I will do that briefly, just for those who miss it, because it is true. I mean, the people in this room, you're pretty driven. Often you go into business because you do want a certain level of financial success. My colleagues as professors, we do intellectually study what it takes to be successful. So you can sometimes, caught up in this environment, come out maybe more associated and more obsessed with financial success that might be good not only for society but for yourself. So I'll reflect on Steve Jobs, which is popular these days. But right, Steve Jobs built the most valuable company on the planet, right? And I remember when I first met him in the early 90s. So this is talk like this. He came in to Stanford at the time. We had him in because we were doing a study of the PC industry. So we had big successful people at the time like Andy Grove and the CEO of Sun Microsystems. And someone said, hey, why don't we have this guy Steve Jobs in? At the time he was struggling with Next. And but of course, he's the guy who started it with, remember, the Apple II. So we had Steve Jobs in. And at his talk, there were 12 people in the room, because this was 1992. And he wasn't going anywhere, really. It was sort of embarrassing. His Next computer wasn't living up to things. And yet, he was there, incredibly engaged, incredibly passionate about his technology, very dynamic. And I remember a year later, following him, there's a big article then in the Wall Street Journal sort of laying out how Next was actually failing. And by that time, it was becoming obvious they'd had to shut down their assembly factories. They'd had to. Much of his management team was abandoning ship, and so it was pretty a sort of low point in his life, at least professionally. And it was at the end of that interview they then went and talked to Steve Jobs and said, "Hey, we're going to write this article about Next, and you have any comments for us?" And that's where he said something that you may have read when he died, but it was at that moment where he said, well, yeah, it's kind of tough, but really dying as the richest man in the graveyard is not really what I'm about. What I'm excited about is going to bed at night saying, I've done something wonderful. And if you listen to Jean-Marc and you think about what's motivated him and made him successful, if you think about Steve Jobs, what allowed him to actually build the most valuable company in the world, it's actually that he had that kind of passion. And one of the real ambiguities and challenges in leadership is that actually if you are going to make the most of this year, if you're going to learn to lead people and actually go out and create value in the way that the people in finance dream that you would, just being obsessed with the financial success, of course, is usually not enough. And so with that, just in terms of the 10 months ahead, I wish you some really, really wonderful times. I think you can do something wonderful here. You'll all have your own paths, and stay true to that. With those notes, it's my privilege on behalf of the Insead faculty, on behalf of the board of directors, to officially declare the Insead MBA class of 13J in session. Congratulations. In good Insead tradition, we will retreat to the bar and have a drink. Let's go.
fantastic. Hello.